Record. All right, we're recording. Hello, welcome to the Systems Navigation lecture. As I was just about to lecture, who was it that asked me? Jimmy. He said that the CBTs were moving slowly, right? So the Bombardier CBTs are absolutely renowned for crashing on the last day of class when the CBTs are due, because everyone goes on at once to get their CBTs done, and everybody gets crashed, and then everybody gets a humongous late penalty, because I have zero patience with procrastination when it comes to that, because you've been doing it since day one of the semester. You've had this. So I have no mercy on people that have oh my gosh, it crashed. Well, yes, of course, mark my words, it's going to crash. It is going to crash on the due date. It's going to crash an hour before midnight on the due date. I repeat, it's going to crash. So please get that done along and along. Now, if you've got a glitch where you've got something that's not working right, email me and I will help you. I will hook you up with this woman, Marissa, who's pretty good at troubleshooting these things. So, yeah.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
And I'm really afraid to ask this question.
Oh boy.
When is the due?
Jonah, can you see my schedule? Can you see my schedule right now?
Oh, we can see quiz 7.
We can see quiz 7.
Wait, what?
Not like the actual quiz, just like the information about the quiz.
Okay, I'm gonna
Oh,
start.
and now she stopped it.
I'm gonna share the screen one more time, but I'm gonna share the correct screen this time.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
You see my schedule. Okay, that's what I've been trying to show you. So, and then you see these 4 blocks over here with the videos.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Video.
Oh, April 22nd.
Okay. So
Wait,
here-
April 15 is test 2?
yes, I changed the schedule, everybody. I changed the schedule.
Oh.
We have our final next Wednesday.
Oh my God.
Because there's absolutely no point in dragging this semester out any longer, because we are not doing posters, which is a big part of the semester. The quiz 7 is your next big hurdle. It's a big hurdle. Do you hear me? Can you mute your mic if there's extra noise in the background, please? Quiz 7 used to be 2 quizzes, and it used to be 2 long quizzes. And now I made it 1 semi-medium quiz. I decided to give you 50 minutes on it because there's so much material on it, but it's autopilot, FMS, comm and nav, and all of flight instruments in 1 quiz.
Oh
So
my God.
please be aware, on April 13th, that is now due. I've adjusted, where is it? Where's my dashboard here? I adjusted your quizzes section here, and I'll make an announcement to this effect too. I'll make sure everybody understands that quiz 7, all the stuff due April 13th at 11:59, and then the test 2 final, which I'm gonna edit right now. You've got 75 minutes, which is totally out of character, because normally you get 50 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna move that to the 15th. This is flight controls, fire protection, APU, emergency equipment, lighting, FMS, autopilot, communications, navigation, flight instruments. So quizzes 5, 6, and 7. Please be brief in the essay questions. I don't want to read a Bible. Everybody's going to answer essay questions on the final. So you are allowed to access the internet, yes. And bam. So I'm deleting that whole section. Open book, open notes, open internet. How would I ever even know if you did all of the above? So
For
I-
test,
Open professor.
is
Yeah.
that a set time?
what's that?
Is that a set time, or is just like whenever we want to take it that day?
Whenever you want to take it that day. I haven't locked it down. If anyone feels, what's the word I'm looking for? If anyone is feeling
Unprepared.
ambitious and you want to get ahead and you want to finish this, I'm going to give you access code.
Wow.
Final. But I want to wait until I'm going to go available from tomorrow, just because I want to sort of edit a couple of those essay questions for you. So I'm going to make a bigger bank of essay questions. I would 100% recommend not doing the final until after the actual review that we do.
When is the review going to be? The 13th in class?
So yeah, so hold on, let me pull it open one more time. I think I have it on here.
Are we going to get access to the other quizzes soon so we'll be able to see what questions we got right and wrong?
Oh yeah, that's a great point. I need to do that right now. While we speak. Actually, I'm gonna write it down so I can do it after class. Access to quizzes. Thank you. That was probably James, right? So 5, 6, and then 7 we haven't taken yet. So after the 13th, you'll get access to that. I'll just make it immediately available for you. As far as reviewing for quiz 7, that's gonna be on April 10th. Doing Kahoot links, things like that. During my office hours, I can, if you come to my office hours at noon or any other time that you want, that you've scheduled with me, I'll certainly go over what's on the essay questions. But typically what I'll do is I'll sample some concepts that I've hit really hard, that I've said, hey, you know, it's really important, you know, what the voice both switch does, for example, you know, in my videos. And I will just ask you sort of an open-ended question about what that does. That'll be an essay question. All of the essay questions are fairly easy if you can look them up. You know, you've got the internet, you've got the Kahoots, you've got the slides. So easy, right?
Yeah.
In theory easy. So why is this blocked? Okay. It's trying to block my slides, but I'm not going to allow that. Can you see my slides? Just leave
Yes.
Yes.
And you can see my cam still?
Yes.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over navigation, which is kind of, it's a bit of a, it's a lot. Most of the first stuff like VHF navigation radios and how you control them with the RTUs is all just a review of the comms section, which we did last Friday. And I did post the link, right? You guys saw the link?
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll talk about the transponder. And the big thing on this is the EGIPWIS and the TCAS. So most of the questions on the quizzes and the tests come out of those EGIPWIS and TCAS systems. And I've also allowed you to see my Jeopardy. Oh, the Jeopardy that says comprehensive final contains almost all of my essay questions.
Ooh.
So please go look at that. I'll minimize this just so you can see real quick. I want to show you exactly where it is. If you go to modules, I'm not sure any of you ever really scroll down all the way. All the way. Look at that. I've actually already made test 2 Jeopardy available for you guys. So do open that up and take a look. Okay.
Will do.
Yeah. I promise you most of the, not every single one of your essay questions, but most of them are in there. The CRJ has conventional navigation systems. Well, I guess conventional for you know, this day and age, right? We've got a VHF, maybe 2, sometimes 3. You've got the DME that's actually combined and coupled with the VOR, so you don't have to. Back in the day when I was a co-pilot flying E-model C-130s, I know this sounds far-fetched. I used to have to type in, say, 118.1 for the VOR frequency, and then also type in the matching paired DME frequency, which would be a 2-number identifier. And if I didn't get it right, then the DME wouldn't work. It was a pain. So these days, you just type in the VOR and you've got the DME associated with it. Super easy. And same with localizer that also has DME. Everything's paired. Now, that brought the designers at Bombardier quite an issue because sometimes you want one VOR and a different DME for whatever reason. Sometimes you're holding one DME and you want to, you know, tune up a different VOR and check out your distance from that station, for example. So that's what the DME hold button is for, so that you can tune up a different VOR and split it from its DME channel and look at a different DME. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they used to be coupled. Now that's a way to uncouple. We have dual ADFs, even though it seems like it's going the way of the dodo, it is actually still around. Marker beacon, transponders. You have a beautiful enhanced ground proximity warning system. You have weather radar that's, you know, I flew a Talon 2, so my standards on weather radar are pretty high. I had the best weather radar on the planet that also served as a terrain following radar. But this one, it works. You can use it to pick through thunderstorm cells, and it gives you pretty good returns. I got to play with it in the sim a couple times, but that's not like going out in the real world and using radar. TCAS, fabulous new invention, traffic collision avoidance system, and then of course GPS. All right, so you'll notice I put the most emphasis here because the CBTs and my instructor at Mesa put the most emphasis on the TCAS system and the EGIPWIS system. Everybody else, you guys are pretty familiar with how to use VHF navigation radios, right? Nav1, Nav2, VORs. I mean, you should be fairly well versed on this by now. Receives and monitors all these things and marker beacon signals as well. You can use the voice in both to monitor the ident if you actually want to hear an ident, or it's much like the G1000 where it'll give you an ident just because it's got the identifier on an HSI in green. That means it is idented. It won't have that if you're not receiving the station. So this both switch that gives you voice and the Morse code identifier is somewhat antiquated. You know, the older guys probably enjoy it. I mean, it's comforting to hear that when you're in the weather. Here's your audio control panel. We already went through this. I'm not going to hit it too hard because we already did the communications lecture last time. Okay. FMS radio tuning page. We didn't talk about this too much in the comms section because it's kind of redundant to the last slide here. In several ways, it is redundant. In other ways, you can tune other things like this is where you go auto and manual with your navigational aids versus, you know, you could put one in auto, one in manual. What else do I want to say about this? The active frequency will be in green, and then a recall frequency. How nice. Last one that you switched off of will be in here. How many times has approach control switched me to center? I dial it in, I call them, and I go, center, blah, 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 blah. I'm maintaining 300, heading 300, and then I get nothing, crickets. Uh-oh, I typed it in wrong. My hands start sweating just thinking about it. Well, here, oh my, have you ever had that moment? You're like, oh, shit, I typed it in.
A lot.
Now I don't have that moment anymore because we've got this recall. You can go back to the approach controller and say, I'm an idiot. Can you say again frequency for center? And you guys also know that if you get a center frequency or even an approach control frequency and you type it in wrong and you screw that up, you can actually look at a chart to get it instead of being that guy that goes back to the frequency and asks. Have you done this?
Not in a chart, but if I had to ask, I would ask.
True, but I mean, to avoid asking, say it's a really cluttered, really busy New York airspace and you New York center frequency, you can get it right off the high chart. It's right there.
True. Fair.
I did it with SoCal Approach.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're in that situation where you're like, oh crap, I didn't hear what he said. Try the chart. Okay. Or fly the airplane and tell your co-pilot to do that. You'll get there someday. What else? So that's why we have that active and we have the recall frequency. That's nice. If you are on DME hold, you get this H, this bright yellow H. Marker sensitivity that, you know, nothing you really need to worry about too much. Whereas, so we're looking at the radio tuning units, which do much the same thing. You can preset a frequency that you're about to put in. The FMS goes one further with this recall frequency. Same basic idea. So yeah, you can do either one that you want. Talked about that a lot last time. Who's squeaking? Who are you squeaking? Get your squeaking. Gosh, I love live Zoom class. Did you guys not Facebook friends with me? Is anyone Facebook friends with me and saw the maths teacher, the British guy?
No.
You have to go look at my Facebook page.
Oh gosh.
It's hilarious. It's like this British dude who's got all these really annoying students and they keep talking over him. He's like, mute your mic. I am just dying laughing watching this stuff. You guys are awesome compared to that. This is really cool. This VR DME status is like the coolest thing. I wish I'd had one of these, honestly. If you have you have a whole list of DMEs and identifiers that you're picking up, and it says, basically if you're auto-tuned, you get a bearing and distance from the station. This is just one big, almost too much information sort of page. It gives you great situational awareness. I love airplanes of today. You get a moving map, you get, TCAS galore, you've got traffic avoidance, you got all these systems that are working together to keep you from hitting the ground, hitting another airplane, or doing something stupid. But you got to know how to operate them all. So that's your challenge as new pilots, is to embrace all this technology, which I know you will, probably better than anyone my age could ever imagine. Off that soapbox. All right, so here you've got the navigation radios. Easy enough to tune. There's really nothing too complicated about it. On the FMS, obviously you type in the numbers, and on the RTU, you spin the knobs to set it. As far as your PFD, you've got a lot of good stuff on the PFD. Does anyone know where the TCAS displays on the PFD? Have we talked?
No.
The bottom right.
Yes, the
Oh
bottom
yeah.
is called this
It's
thing.
your VSI.
Yeah, it's the VSI. Was that Isaiah?
This was, yes.
I'm getting to the point, I don't have my cameras or anything like that. I can't see you guys, but I can hear your voices. It is nice teaching online when I know you all to begin with. So thank you, Isaiah. That is correct. This will turn red if they don't want you to go that direction. Turns green if they want you to go that direction. So honor the TCAS. I repeat, honor the TCAS. If you get a resolution advisory and your tower controller or your approach controller is screaming in your ear to climb, 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 and the resolution advisory is telling you to descend, what are you going to do?
Descend.
And
Because
Yes, no.
yeah, it's a well-known fact that ATC will often try to take things into their own hands. They see one thing, they see it their own way. The airplane is always going to be more accurate. So when a airplane is up against an airplane with TCAS, always honor the TCAS.
If you think about it, like a ATC controller might be like 100 miles away, whereas like the TCAS system is literally talking to the other TCAS system on the other airplane. Like it's very accurate.
Right, and here's
It's like 100 feet versus 100 miles.
sure, and controllers, as competent as they are, and I have never, anywhere on the planet, okay, with a few exceptions I won't get into, I have never had controllers be incompetent and steer me the wrong way or put me in a dangerous position. It's usually me, doing something stupid like with an airdrop or whatever, putting myself in a dangerous situation. But I will tell you, if you're in an RA situation or a resolution advisory against another airplane, that controller has already screwed up. That controller already lost situational awareness, so they don't get any credibility. You watch
Also with that air traffic controller screen, they lag. So what you are actually doing, they generally see like 300 feet behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys probably know that, but is that someone who has an ATC?
Yeah, minor, Jack.
Exactly. So once again, I know I can't say that enough. It has killed people because it is so, you don't even understand. It's second nature. You hear ATC tell you to do something and your knee-jerk reaction is always to do it. Obey. Your pilot brain is wired to obey that air traffic controller at all times. It is really, really hard to defy them. But if you hear this voice, bitchin' Bob or bitchin' Betty, I can't remember what it is on the CRJ. I think it's a Bob telling you what to do. You just go with it. So
it is a male voice.
I think it is a male voice.
Generally,
With all the oral warnings, think about it. Like,
Yeah.
when we hear the CBTs.
Yeah. Not every airplane is, and a C-130 it was. We had a very deep, very soothing Bob. And then on a deployment, I got to fly on the flight deck a couple times with this awesome C-17 crew. They even wanted to put me in the seat, and I was like,
You're funny.
It's like somebody letting you drive their Tesla or their Ferrari or something. I'm like, I don't think so.
Been there, done that.
I drove a Tesla once. I didn't like it because when you're
I have to hear the engine. Those things scare me a little bit, honestly.
you just have to keep your foot on the gas constantly or else it stops itself. I don't like that. Anyway, we digress. In the C-17, it was a bitchin' Betty. It was annoying. Okay, so MFD HSI format, you guys are pretty familiar. I can't imagine too many scenarios in which you would probably need to do this. I mean, if you're one of those people like me who gets dyslexic when you look at an HSI and you need to know what radial you're on and the tail of your needle happens to be down below the case, I can see why I would pull up the HSI format just to go, oh, all right, we're on the 215 radial. Yeah, that's me. By the way, I'm super excited today. I relearned long division and taught it to my 3rd grader. So I'm like,
You should be proud of yourself. You should be very proud of yourself for
Yeah.
that.
so proud of myself. It is so fun to do long division. I
I never properly learned how to do long division because they put
Oh
like,
my god.
You see what my 3rd grader is doing? Does this not?
oh, we can't bring closer.
I haven't done long division forever. Like,
We can't do that. We don't know how to.
we don't know how to do that. We don't know.
That's not applicable to
I never
us.
have to
It
do
doesn't-
long division or anything. Well, long division is bad, but I hope I don't never have to take a math class again, and I'm very happy that I'm done with that. Never
Yeah,
again.
we don't have to.
Jake, listen, someday you may have a child and maybe there's a pandemic or maybe you just wanted to.
Literally,
And maybe there's a pandemic.
the only time I use mathing, they say you'll use it in real life. The irony is I only use it in video games. They're like, oh, I'm draining the ocean. I wonder how long this will take.
But
I
according to
thought
this
that
book, people, you will be doing a lot of math.
Well, I've been
Yeah,
asked
that's
a
basic
couple
math,
times.
Not like complex things.
I
that
have
you're
been asked like the most complex math I had to do to fly a C-130. And I would
Well,
say
what-
the holy descent point, if you guys know what I mean by the descent point, if you've been through AS 435 or maybe you're going through AS 435 next semester or whatever, if you're in an Airbus or in a very fast moving jet and you do not calculate your descent point correctly, you are going to hose up everybody in the entire pattern. So descent points are very important, and it's important to calculate it based on the actual winds. And then when we were in combat, we flew 6-degree descents, which are really easy to screw up. So I had to do a lot of math. But all I did was put a formula and I glued a calculator to my kneeboard. That was back in the days before we all had one of these. Anyway, we digress. Let's talk about the MFD FMS format. This right here is what you're going to fly around in 90% of the time. You can see you have all this information you need: true airspeed, ground speed. You got your SAT, your TAT, everything you need. In fact, all the nav aids right here correspond with the information over here. So you're 7 nautical miles from Hoki, which is your next magenta point. Isn't that nice? Does anyone else find this really, really, really nice? I know you don't have anything to compare it to really except for G1000, but gosh, this thing is really fancy. This is called the plan map, and this is the only reason you use this is to check that you have input all the points into the flight management system properly. So you want solid lines. When you page through the plan map, you want everything to look exactly as you have it programmed. You'll know something is wrong on the plan map. Big curly Q for your course or whatever. If your course line's going off into oblivion, yes, you've programmed something incorrectly. And then here's the TCAS. Say you get an RA, obviously you should pull this up and take a look at where that traffic is going, where you are. The TCAS is a very valuable screen. This is the test that we're looking at. So when I ask you, say on an essay question or something crazy like that, what does the test page of the TCAS look like? You're gonna say there's an open cyan diamond, a closed cyan diamond, a red square, and a yellow circle. Or if you like the word amber, that's great too. All right.
What was that? Sorry, the test
You
page.
get an essay question to list all the TCAS test or the TCAS symbols. The test will show you that this is the test screen. It's got open cyan, closed cyan, yellow circle, red square on a TCAS test page. This is after you push that test button. We're going to talk about that. We already did talk about automatic flight control system. That's the flight control panel. Here's what you have set in. You got 113.2. That happens to be whatever this VMware is, Salt Lake City. Notice Salt Lake City, SLC, that's your identifier. You are identing. You do not have to go to voice or both, excuse me, to listen to the Salt Lake City Morse code. Right here, you got 21.5 nautical miles from it. If you had a nav failure or it stopped identing, the system would detect that and it would give you a red VOR1. It would also throw up this huge nav failure. Notice it, oops, that's weird. It throws up this huge amber nav1 failure right there. Okay, give me hold. If you push that button, you get an H there. Then you can tune up a different VOR and it'll hold that DME. If you're not picking up Salt Lake City, but it's tuned in properly and nothing's wrong here, you're just not picking it up yet, you're out of range, you'll get 3 green dashes. Okay, if you have ADF1, this is kind of like a bastardized, I don't know what they did here. It doesn't look like that. Somebody photoshopped that in there, but ADF1 will pop up like that. Do you guys remember which one's lateral and which one's vertical? Oh yeah, you're gonna have to answer a question like that. If I ask you, what is this thing called here? What's the gate called? Left stuff is active, right stuff is
Armed.
armed. Good. Active versus armed. And then remember the mode. So you've got lateral and then you've got vertical. Lateral's on top, vertical's on the bottom. I think that's a multiple choice question, actually. I didn't make that a essay, but it sounds like a good essay question, doesn't it?
What did we do?
I'm taking notes here so I can add that. I like that.
Oh my gosh.
Mode,
Okay, everybody, keep your mouth shut.
I know.
and vertical. Okay.
We didn't say anything. She said that herself.
Lateral top, vertical's on the bottom. Okay, we got it. And then let's see, nav source data is down here. Localizer 1. Notice that what you have as your active mode will show down here. We switched from VOR1 into localizer. Say we're on the approach now. We're about to overspeed something, as you can see by the barber pole. That's, or underspeed. This is where we're headed. We're gonna stall. What was I getting at? Oh yeah, localizer 1 is in your vertical localizer mode, or your lateral mode, and glide slope is in your vertical mode. FMS mode is here, and ALTS. This is what you look like when you're cruising around. This is what you look like on an approach. This is what you look like in cruise. Cool?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Let's talk about 3 modes of operation. We probably know most of these. I never really thought about my modes of operation as a pilot. It didn't even occur to me. I just put the codes in and had done with it, I suppose. So you always have the aircraft identity reporting, which is your 4-digit identifier.
These are important because of TCAS. That's why we care. Like most large aircraft will have TCAS, so you wouldn't have to think about the mode. But like, if we wanted like TCAS in our like Cessna 172s, we'd have to get a certain transponder for it to be possible.
It's probably just cost prohibitive. If I had to guess why Embry-Riddle doesn't have TCAS and why they have ADS-B instead, I believe TCAS is just really, really expensive the way it works. But
Probably.
yeah. And so mode S is what data links with the other C and S transponders for that TCAS system or ADS-B. Have you guys ever seen a radar dish? There's the big section and then there's a little section up on top. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm not
Yes, I do know what you're talking about.
If you guys don't know this already, I learned this rather late in life. The big dish underneath is actually what's painting you. That's what's seeing you on the radar for ATC. And the little dish on top is what's we call secondary radar. That's what mode S is doing. It's linking to that thing. As far as I understand, you guys in ATC minors can probably correct me on that, but I've heard mode S links through that secondary radar. That's why it's called mode S. It stands for secondary radar. So, so here's your selector knob. If you want to, you've got two, redundant systems. And then you can do it from the RTU. This is your backup, and this is your regular RTU. There's always, it's like a computer, this airplane. There's always two ways to do everything. I mean, we can pull up Microsoft Excel, or we can pull up Microsoft Word, you know, different formats for the same thing, basically. But you can put in your ATC1 code display over here on this one as well. Questions on that? You guys are so lucky you grew up with technology like this, with computers. I learned how to type on a computer in junior high that had like those old, really raised, clinky little letters.
You mean a typewriter?
I remember DOS. I am that old. Like, I remember sitting in my elementary school learning DOS, which was that green screen with the
Oh my
green.
god! Like the.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not kidding you. So
Wow.
I've come a long way, baby. I've come a long way that I can even, you know, grasp this stuff, let alone an iPad. So eGipWiz is really cool. It's an amazing system. Very rarely malfunctions. When it does, there's a way to kill it. So if you're hearing train, you can kill it. But we'll talk about the normal, not the malfunctions in this slideshow. I, by the way, would never ask you to list all of these things. Never.
God.
Not for this class.
Thank you.
But I can tell you right now, when I was flying as a co-pilot, and we did a lot of low-level flying, I can't speak for a regional airline or for Southwest Air. You know, I can't speak for them what they teach, but I had to know this kind of stuff cold, like pop it out in flight. You know, I'm in the middle of 6 other tasks, and the instructor goes, "All right, you got a yellow button, and it's calling for a climb. What altitude is the terrain at?" And you know, I'm saying it was like a word problem. So yes, I had to know this stuff cold. And then when I got to the Talon 2 and we were flying terrain following radar, it all went out the window. We actually had a eGipWiz in that airplane that the circuit breaker was permanently pulled and fixed because it would call terrain constantly because we were flying at 200 feet. So in the airlines, what you're going to see is the big thing you need to remember is that the top of the switch is red. Red is dead. The bottom of the switch is your warning. So you've got the amber down there and the red up top. They've prioritized the two colors in terms of what is going to kill you the fastest. So you've got terrain, caution obstacle, all these things right here. Don't sink, glide slope. You've got more time to fix those things than the pull up. Okay. Again, I'm not going to ask you exact numbers or anything like that. I'm certainly not going to ask you anything off this slide. Excessive descent rates or terrain closure rate. I mean, all these modes are really important. Someday you might have to know them cold. Not for this class.
Bless you.
You're welcome. Now, I would know this. If you fail to respond to the yellow caution alert, you get the red one, of course. I would know which side of the switch that's on. So the yellow's on the bottom, the red's on the top. What else would I know? Warning time is approximately 30 seconds to impact once you get a solid red. That's a long time to correct this. What's the first thing you're going to do if you ever hear a terrain, pull up, and you're not expecting to hear this?
You're gonna need to pull up.
Check your altitude.
The first thing you're going to do, well, it's almost simultaneous, right?
I would just pull up. Like,
No,
no?
correct. You're going to go as far forward. You're going to bend those throttles as far forward as you can possibly get them, regardless if you're going to over temp or over torque that prop.
Oh,
You're going to push the power in. Okay? From someone who flew low level for many, many years, and someone who every year, annually, we got to sit in the airplane in the sim and fly that Albania crash. What they failed to do, after all their reactions and all their crew coordination, what they failed to do was get the freaking power in. I'm pausing for effect. Power in, then pull. power, pull. I know this sounds absolutely ridiculous when we're sitting here on the ground talking about it like, yeah, no big deal, I'll put the power in. You would be really surprised. It's really tempting to grab the airplane with both hands and pull it into your chest and forget to put the power in. Okay.
Oof. Big oof.
What was this? The
Was-
U.S. military plane crash in Albania?
Yeah, so the 7th Special Operations Squadron, which is our sister squadron when we were in Florida, the 15th Special Operations Squadron, they sent a training crew out to Albania. They were just flying low level in the mountains, and they hopped into the wrong valley, and they spent the 55 seconds or so from the time they got the obstacle warning to the time they impacted the terrain. They spent that time arguing over where they were instead of putting the power in. So the pilot eventually did pull until he stalled the airplane, but he did not actually put the power in. They didn't even get it to halfway. They never had the power even to the over torque level. So time and time again, we'd fly the sim, and time again, of course, it's kind of like that Sully movie. You know what's coming at you, right? Like Sully knew nothing. Like he just got the birds. And in the sim later on, when they were reenacting it,
They were perfect.
they obviously could react better. So yeah, we had the benefit of knowing it was coming, and but it was crazy how we could clear the terrain by hundreds of feet just because we put the power in. And it's very uncomfortable to sit there. They made us sit there and at the power setting they were at and pull, and you can't make it. So anyway, off my soapbox. I tend to get on a soapbox about CFIT just because I know people who've died in CFIT accidents, and it's personal to me. So when you hear that terrain, you hear anything that you're not expecting, do put the power in and climb. Now, I will tell you there's gonna be some times, let me go back to one that you might get. See this don't sink and glide slopes, sink rate, too low flaps, too low gear. As an airline pilot, you're going to be on what they call a stabilized approach. If you're not stable within, I want to say, 5 miles of touchdown, you're going to do a go around. But in certain circumstances, in a C-130, we would hear the sink rate or don't sink or something like that. As long as you voice it to the crew, and you know, because everybody can hear EJIPWA's warnings, as long as you voice it to the backenders, you say, all right, you're going to hear a sink rate. I'm a little behind on my descent here. You won't scare people half to death. So anyway, for you military pilots out there, I know Brian Felix is thinking about flying the C-130 for MAFs, for the airborne firefighting. You'll hear that all the time, the sink rate. You can manually inhibit this if you have to. Can't think of a time that you would manually inhibit the terrain when you are in a commercial jet flying passengers. The one time I can think of the manual override for the flaps is when you have a malfunction. So if you do have to land flaps up, which is an emergency in the airlines, you don't do it for practice like we did. You're going to push that override button, and you're going to fly much faster than you normally do. Anyone have to do a no flap landing yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
They make
Yeah,
us,
it's required
they
for
make
private.
Yeah. And that's, I don't want to say it's child's play in a Cessna 172, and it's very forgiving. It is. The bigger the airplane, like an Airbus 320, something like that, if you do have to land flaps up, there's a margin of error that is so thin, it's hard to even describe how thin that margin of error is. And when you land, you're basically at tire limiting speed, simultaneous to your stall speed. So even in a C-130, which is also a fairly forgiving airplane, it's a very difficult maneuver. So it is absolutely an emergency. You're going to walk the fine line between popping your tires and stalling the airplane. So you all obviously do not want the flaps in your head the whole way down final if you have to do that. Here's your sort of orientation of the lights on your panel. This is the glare shield here. You'll see that it's right next to that stall warning, and of course the fire in the bottles. Don't worry about the modes for this class at all. Okay, we talked about the inhibits. There's a video that doesn't play, so I pretty much ignore it. So here's your 4 threat levels and data tags. Take a good look at this before the final, or at least have this slide available for you, because this is definitely one of the many essay questions. Like I mentioned already, you're gonna have to sort of list them and give me the symbols, tell me about them. Not sure what other details I'm gonna ask, but that's usually the most detailed essay question that I ask, is to, describe the 4 threat levels and the data tags, and don't miss any information. It's all right here. Maximum range is 40 nautical miles for TCAS. All right. As far as what I want you to know about TCAS, there is a lot of minutia about TCAS. Look at the next slide here. Wow. There's
That's a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. And I hate to tell you, but there's going to come a time in your career fairly soon that if you don't know a TCAS oral alert, you don't know exactly what all this stuff is, you probably fail a check right. I will give you a very good heads up on what's on the test here. You're going to have to know the 40-second TCAS surveillance area. You're going to have to know that it goes out to 40 nautical miles, which is so easy, right? It's the same number. 40-second TCAS area, 40 nautical miles. So the traffic advisory goes 30 seconds. The resolution advisory is either preventative or corrective. Corrective is worse, of course, if you get yourself into a corrective advisory. And then I'm not going to ask you all of these things. Whoops, where did it go?
It's actually very rare. Like, pilots have said that you'll probably be in a corrective advisory like once or twice in your career.
I think it depends on the type of flying that you do. And no, as a commercial airline pilot, gosh, no, you should never see one.
Yeah.
But
you'll get the other advisory and you'll fix it, so you'll never get to a correct advisory. Like,
that's right. I've had a number of RAs actually in my life, and almost all of them, except for 2, I want to say 2 in the terminal area, almost all of them were actually in a restricted area where we were doing airdrop, and they were all off helicopters below us. So interesting. They were all to climb. Every single resolution advisory I had was to climb. And helicopters are pesky little dudes. No offense to helicopter people, but when we were operating on the Gulf Coast, I got an RA off one of those stupid banner tows because they didn't realize they were in a restricted area. That pilot didn't last very. We actually filed a what do you call it?
ASAP
NASA?
or NASA report?
No, what do they call it in military? My memory is failing me. We violated them. It was dude, I felt bad, but you can't fly a banner tow through an active drop zone with personnel on board. So we were doing a water drop with personnel. Freaking banner tow comes right underneath me as we're like 30 seconds from the drop. That was ugly. Ugly. An RA while your doors are open and there's people standing in the door is like a whole new level of pain. We didn't lose anyone, but when I saw the news story about the special ops guy, the special tactics guy who fell out of a C-130, that my heart went, ugh. I know how that happens. So anyway, you guys will probably never hear an RA, probably get a TA or 2 in your lives, but hopefully not an RA. But if you do, obviously listen to what it says. Don't panic. Like a quick double check on what the PSI is telling you to do with what you're hearing, and then go ahead and make the action as decisively as you can. Okay. Oh yeah, I was going to point out increased descent. So it will not, this is a good number to know, 1450 AGL, about pattern altitude. It will not make you descend during an RA. It's afraid that if you descend aggressively enough, it can cause CFIT. So the TCAS system is designed not to cause CFIT.
That's good.
It's a smart system. It's a wonderful system. I shudder to think of all the approaches I flew, hundreds and hundreds of approaches in an E model into Baghdad airspace, where we were basically given a sector and we just descended like bats out of hell. And when I changed airplanes, and I got a TCAS and I could see all the traffic and all the drones, I was like, holy crap, I probably almost died 100 times. So TCAS is amazing. Here's your TCAS mode indicator. Okay. You can put the TCAS, like I said in the previous lecture, you can put it up when you're climbing, you can look it down when you're descending, and usually you're going to fly along with it in the normal middle mode. Okay. It says traffic in amber if you're getting a traffic advisory or a TA. It'll also, of course, highlight on whatever screen you're on here, it'll show you where your traffic is. Like I said, this here that you're looking at, this FMS map, is what you're going to fly in probably 90% of the time that you're flying. And then you get the dreaded resolution advisory. The traffic goes to red. And then, of course, it gives you a stripe of red where it does not want you to go. Okay. Weather radar. Questions on TCAS before I move on?
Nope.
On the sync rate, you said that you could just tell everyone about it, but is there an actual way to inhibit that from going off?
As far as I know, if you're gonna do a really aggressive, actually that's a great question. It brings me to an AS350 lecture that I used to give about going into Aspen, Colorado. Some of the places where, like Aspen or Telluride, where you're gonna do a 9-degree glide path, and then you got to fix it. What you want to say to the crew, that it's good crew coordination to say, all right, even to the other pilot, if you just have one other pilot with you, you're going to hear a sync rate advisory. I'm going to fix it by 400 feet, something like that. If I don't fix it by 400 feet, send me around. There's no standard way to do that, but it helps if you pre-flight plan, if there's going to be a sporty approach that's going to cause it. I will.
Around for Aspen.
What's that?
Isn't really a go around for Aspen.
I know, but if you're not stabilized, I want to say, oh gosh, remember that lecture? It was crazy. If you're not stabilized, like
It was like 1,000 feet or something. It was way behind the runway.
Well, the issue is that like you literally it's in a valley. Like the airport is in a valley, so and if you can't really go around because the terrain is so steep right behind it that you will crash.
yeah, and that I want to say, if you look at, oops, why doesn't it let me do that? It's weird.
You have to be like, you're not
Yeah,
allowed.
the Aspen missed approach is like an 170-degree right turn, and you follow the localizer back course out.
Yeah.
But here, to answer your question, this button right here, if you don't want to hear the sync rate, you turn this button and push the button off. Obviously, that would be a very special, very specific occasion. Your company would have to approve it. You would never do this on your own. It would be as part of what we call a, what is it called in AS350? The special certification required.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna guess off specs.
Yeah, no, op specs don't cover that. The special airport certification.
Yeah,
So,
because I couldn't just go land at Aspen. Like, even if it was like
no, you can't.
maybe in an emergency, I could land there, but like, that's it.
Not even then. Trust me.
No, if it was an emergency and Aspen's the only airport for like 20, 30 nautical miles, I could probably like, oh my God, my engine's on fire. I need to get to the ground. They'd rather have me land at Aspen than land like on the mountain.
You know what I would do? Well, I've been through a lot of the rocky crossings, the Rocky Mountains. And it's 30, and we were pretty underpowered. Like if we lost one engine, we're pretty much going to have to land somewhere. Take a good look at the airports along your route of flight. Like we would fly over Eagle County, which was an emergency divert for us.
Yeah.
What you don't want is a seat of your pants, never seen it before situation when your engines quit. So just a little bit of humble advice there. So anyway, weather radar, I'm not going to get too far into asking questions about the weather radar. I'll tell you that right now. There is a test for it. If you see any sort of bubble scintillations, little black marks, that usually is either a dirty or a broken radar. So it's supposed to look beautiful and clean like this when you do the test. Okay. Let's see, what are we looking at? We're looking at the map here. and it's showing you an area of returns. Okay, there it is in living color. How close are you supposed to stand to this thing when it's operating?
2 feet.
Yeah, as far away as humanly possible, but 2 feet's the absolute minimal. Your receiver gain's nice. It controls the sensitivity, and it has ground clutter suppression, which is nice. Tilt. Have I told you my tilt story?
No.
No.
And he wasn't even a new navigator. This guy, I'll never forget, on one deployment, I don't know why I pulled him from the hat. You know, you get stuck on a deployment for 4 months with the same people, and this kid, Josh, I'll only use first names, but he was either asleep on the bunk or he was screwing something up. We're on this beautiful sunny day. Like, me and the other pilot were actually talking to each other about how beautiful it was. And we were passing Italy, and from a certain altitude, you can see the boot of Italy. Like, it's visible from the air. And of course, Josh is back there playing. He goes, "Hey, I think we got storms on the horizon. It's a weird looking one. I can't make this shit up." He goes, "It looks like a boot." And we both turn around, and I, like, from my co-pilot seat, I could actually unlatch his chair. I unlatched his chair and took his shoulders and turned him. And I was like, "Josh, look out that freaking window." It's Italy. He had the radar tilted down instead of up. So don't be that guy. It'll correct you. This airplane is almost too smart for people like that, because it actually corrects back to 10.7, which is what you kind of want. You want to look up, not at the ground. If you do look at the ground, it's going to look like terrible weather, just so you know. Sector scan.
Kilo granite.
Be able to tilt down.
I mean, it's kind of, I will tell you, if you have no situational awareness and you're sitting side seat like Josh was, I mean, the poor kid has his head buried in the side seat the entire time we're flying. And navigators are trained to not look outside. Like, they have to do things looking sideways. So on a beautiful sunny day, looking at Europe. Anyway, selector scan is right here.
Why would we tilt down? Like, why would we want it to be able to tilt downward?
Why would you? Well, low clouds, things like that. If you're actually up high, if you're at 41,000 feet and you're going to have to drop through a thunderstorm or a series of cells on an approach, absolutely you're going to want to tilt it down and look. A lot of times in the airlines, you're going to see stuff like this. You know, you're going to be picking your way through it on an approach. So yeah, at times it is necessary to tilt it down when you're descending. What else do I have to say about radar weather? This one is really user friendly. Like, this is as simple as it probably gets in terms of radar. And you got a pretty good overlay. I would call it, like, you know, the CRJ is like a new vehicle, you know, the new ones with all the beautiful screens and everything. I love it. You know, it's really pretty user friendly. So the format and range, pretty easy to use. You can switch it. You're usually 40. If you got pretty bad weather, you can go all the way to 10 or even 5. Okay. As far as weather radar, I don't think there's a single question anywhere on weather radar. I don't believe. You can call me out if you get one, like the auto tilt question, but I don't think so. Okay. As far as the radio altimeter, or in the Air Force, we call it the radar altimeter, which is totally incorrect because it is not radar. This thing's pretty smart. You even get a rising runway. So you don't get the tape until 1,000 feet AGL. And if you notice this thing, you're a better pilot than I would never notice such a thing. Radar altimeters are more of like a trend instrument or a gee whiz, that's great, because it's looking straight down, mind you. I've been highly trained not to look at the radar altimeter. Now, I have been known to take a glance at it when I'm flying low level and I'm cresting a ridge to sort of calibrate my eyes. If I'm not on the terrain following system, or if I'm just on night vision goggles, that'll help me get an idea. Like, tonight is a dark night. I need to know what it looks like at 200 feet. But you guys, you probably not even notice it until it gives you a 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 call. All right, GPS, you got a lot of GPS equipment on your G1000 that you fly daily. So I don't really belabor talking about the GPS. You guys are probably more experts on GPS flying than anyone in my generation ever. So as far as like how you work this thing, the GPS inside the FMS, you've got to go and check, wait, where is the actual slide? Where does it show you? You can check the RAIM, check the route menu, the database. There's one page and one page only where you can actually see which one of your GPS's receivers is primary. And for some reason, the MESA instructor hammered that, like if you need to go to that one page during a check ride, where's the button? GPS CTO, GPS control. And if I had my Prepare 3D up, I would show you, but there, if you push that button, you can go in and see which GPS is primary and which one's secondary. Apparently it's a popular check ride question. The RAIM, you guys remember this?
I still know it. We all probably still know it.
Should probably know this because in your day and age, you're going to spend a lot of time flying off GPS satellites. There are a couple status messages with it, with this, all of these systems. Wind shear fail, terrain not available, terrain off. Oof, okay. I'm not going to quiz you on any of that stuff, nor the location and power supply for circuit breakers. In case you haven't noticed, I don't quiz you on that too much. This class is meant to be sort of a basic overview of an aircraft, and I keep warning you of this, and you're not going to believe me until you get to ground school, until you get to fly these things, how much depth is really required. But it is. You will have to know the ins and the outs. If the weather radar is in op, I'll just tell you right now, it just says do not fly into known or forecast conditions that could require it, basically. So questions on these systems? Boiling it down. Just know the 40-second 40 nautical mile thing for TCAS. Know these symbologies and exactly what they mean. Also understand this switch right here. I wouldn't go too heavy into mode 1 through 7 and what it is, but the pull up and the ground procs, what color they are, when they appear, and if you get a red, that means how many seconds to impact? 30 seconds. So, you know, you pretty much covered it right there with this system. Cool. All right. I'm gonna stop recording.